Hello everyone, my name is Mary Clow. I am an Indiana State University nursing school student, and today I'd like to talk to you about the opioid crisis. Specifically, we are going to be focusing on our rural communities. Now, to start, if I could just have you pause the video for just a moment and take the pretest, and we'll see how much you know about this topic. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Let's take a look at our learning objectives. First off, we are going to discuss what opioids are, what it means to be addicted, overdose, prevention, and then we will discuss ways to help in the community. I will be giving you some online and live resources to get help. There are 15 out of every 100 people living in a rural area in the United States today. An area is considered to be rural if it is outside of a city population. According to the Centers for Disease Control, although rates vary concerning addiction, the rural populations have pulled ahead of the urban or city areas in addiction rates. Most of the time when thinking of opioids, people think of prescription pain medication. Morphine and codeine are two examples of natural opioids. In recent years, we have the development of synthetics. Synthetic means something man-made, and it's basically an attempt to copy the original or natural product. We have some examples in oxycodone, hydrocodone, morphone, and codone. Methadone is a fully synthetic opioid. And here are the illegal opioids: heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines. Fentanyl is an opioid that is both legal and it is also being illegally made. Let's talk about addiction. Addiction is considered to be a chronic medical condition. A person can suffer relapses, and addiction is recognized as when a person is considered to have a dependence on the opioid. So they no longer get that feel-good feeling or high when using the opioid. They actually need it to function in everyday living. This slide gives us a really good visual on the activity in the brain, because our bodies have natural opioid receptors. These little Y-shaped are the opioid receptors in the brain, and the little blue circles are the natural hormone, the natural endomorphins in our body that tell us when something makes us feel good. The purple dots over here on the right hand side, we have an opioid user. So left side, normal activity; right side, opioid user. And if you notice, all these purple that are coming into the opioid receptors, it's just kind of overloading. So it's kind of like being overstimulated. It just no longer gives pleasure, but it's needed to function. That is what dependence is. It is currently estimated that there are millions of people suffering from chronic addiction. It can happen to anyone. Opioid overdose is now the leading cause of injury or death in this country today, and along with the higher rates of addiction in rural areas comes the higher rate of drug overdose. It is largely due to the illegal manufacturing of fentanyl, especially since 2013. Here is the CDC's website, and they have a lot of information, not just on drug overdose, but other issues related to this as well. Recovery from opioids is possible. Our first steps are to prevent overdoses and find treatment for those affected. The goal is to give them their life back. Using an evidence-based approach, studies have shown that medications combined with or without behavioral therapy have a good success rate. If you think back to the slide where we were looking at the opioid receptors in the brain and how they were overstimulated, the medications can help normalize the brain's chemistry, reduce the craving for the drug, and sometimes can even prevent withdrawal in some people. And here is a number for help, the National Hotline for Addiction. The best way to help with drug addiction in rural America is to prevent it from happening in the first place. The United States Department of Agriculture has a wonderful online resource called the Rural Community Toolbox. It is federally funded, and it has resources including grants and training to help with a variety of issues. Online support groups can be a valuable source of support for those that are living in areas that have less than adequate resources. Another great website found was on naloxone administration training. Narcan can help save lives. In rural populations, it is estimated that 40% of drug overdoses could be avoided with the proper administration of Narcan. There is an online CE course. There are programs for individual training, for group training, and certifications as well. The key to building strong and healthy communities are all of us. Communication is so vital. Education to help others understand the dangers of drug addiction and drug overdose are so important. And in rural populations, it's more of a challenge because of less access to resources. We can build programs with the knowledge we learn. We are ending our presentation with a really neat quote from Audrey Hepburn. "Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible." Here are a couple of resources that I used in this presentation, and there are more on your brochure. Thank you for joining me, and don't forget to take the post test.